Okay, welcome folks. You've joined our Next Generation Leadership Institute webinar today. Just a short webinar to answer questions that you may have regarding the program and to give you some more information about the program itself. With me is Sunny Snapton, who's going to be joining us. She's doing traveling today, so we'll have to excuse a little bit of noise in the background. So she's really double timing and waiting for a flight that she's going to have to go catch. So we're pleased to have Sunny with us. We expect to have Jeremy on the line with us, Jeremy Peters, and certainly welcome all of you to our webinar. Do a mic check with Jeremy. Jeremy, are you on the line?
Good afternoon, Ray. Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Jeremy. Thanks so much. A little bit of time here before the kickoff. Our participants are joining us right now. Sometimes it does take a little bit of time for them to get through the system and onto it. So we'll probably start a couple, 3 minutes after the mark. Thanks, Jeremy. So Jeremy, I've got just you and I and Sunny unmuted at the present time, and we'll keep it that way throughout the duration. So we got an open mic for Jeremy, Sunny, and Ray.
Great. Jeremy, a question for you. Are you willing to generally cover the mission of NCF?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Thank you.
So if you're just joining our webinar, go ahead and go to the questions area there of your GoToWebinar dashboard and type in NGLI. That way we know the questions box and your machine and our machines are working today. Go ahead and type in NGLI to the questions area. We will not be using the chat today, so we'll just be using the questions box. So go ahead and type NGLI into your questions box. Thanks so much. That'll help us know that your machine and our machine are working together today. NGLI. Go ahead and type that into the questions area. We will not be using the chat area today. That's great. Continue to type in NGLI if you haven't already, letting us know that your machine and ours are talking with one another today. Very good. Well, we know that it's morning in some parts of our nation, it's afternoon in other parts of our nation, it's early morning in some of our parts in Hawaii and Guam, folks that are joining us today, and late in Puerto Rico and San Juan Islands. But we welcome you one and all. We've got a nice turnout today for our webinar. We're going to wait another minute or two before we kick this off. If you have not done so, go ahead and type NGLI in the questions box. That way you can enter your questions. That's where you'll be entering your questions for us today on the Next Generation Leadership Institute program. Good to have all of you joining us. Again, we're waiting for just a few more participants to sign in, and we'll begin our webinar. Good day, folks, and welcome to the Next Generation Leadership Institute webinar. The voice you're hearing is Ray Ledgerwood, be moderating today's webinar. With me, Jeremy Peters and Sunny Hike Snapton, our presenters for today. Our webinar ID, if you've just joined us, is 463-807-355. You can join, if you've just tuned in with the audio portion, you can join at www.joingotowebinar.com. Well, our agenda for today is straightforward, and we anticipate being done within an hour. Our opening comments will be coming up from Jeremy Peters. We'll also talk about our agenda and the session purpose, the Next Generation Leadership Institute briefing by Sunny before she runs to catch a plane, and then questions and answers from all of you. Again, use your questions box on your GoToWebinar dashboard. We're also interested in polling you to find out how many applications are coming in the next few days. Wanted to make sure we have that few closing comments by Jeremy. That's our agenda for today. Wanted to let you know all our lines are muted except for the presenters. Again, we want you to use the questions portion of that dashboard, GoToWebinar dashboard, to put your questions into. We won't be using the chat room for questions today. We'll get to as many of those questions as we can. The presentation will be recorded. If you do have feedback, go ahead and jot down that email address for Sunny Hike Snapton at nacdnet.org. So it's my pleasure to welcome our NACD Chief Executive Officer and the National Conservation Foundation Executive Director, all wearing the same hat. Jeremy, for some opening remarks.
All right, thanks, Ray, and hello, everybody. Thanks for making some time on a Friday, the 13th, to get on a webinar to talk about our Next Generation Leadership Institute. I think it is good luck that we have such a strong showing on the webinar today, even though it is Friday the 13th. And I'm going to be pretty brief because I want to be able to allow as much time for Sunny to present on the actual program specifics, because that's why everyone is here today. But just wanted to say a few words of appreciation to all the states that are and territories that are taking a look at this opportunity. It's really an exciting time to be working with NACD and Foundation on such an important project like the Next Generation Leadership Institute. We're currently accepting applications for the inaugural class of participants. And the program was officially kicked off and announced in Santa Fe earlier this summer at NACD summer meeting. Many of you were probably there for that kickoff event. But since that time, since we know that a number of folks are looking at this opportunity for the up-and-coming district officials within their states and territories, we anticipate that many of you have some questions and may have information that you're seeking to make sure that you bring forward the best candidates possible for the opportunity. So we wanted to reach out today, provide a webinar to hear your questions, provide additional information, and make sure that we've got a good set of applicants as we look ahead to the fall and into 2020, when we'll have the first cohort that will begin meeting in Las Vegas in February at NACD's annual meeting. This is all, of course, under the umbrella of the National Conservation Foundation. And the National Conservation Foundation recently, within the last year, updated their mission statement. And that current mission statement is to identify and advance strategic programs and partnerships to deliver conservation solutions through locally led conservation, and to develop the next generation of conservation leaders. And that development of the next generation of conservation leaders is really such an exciting part of the mission statement for the foundation. A lot of good work that's gone in to get us to the point that we're at so far by the advisory committee that worked on the initial phases of the NGLI, and also with the input and oversight of the foundation's board of trustees. So again, I just wanted to express my thanks to everybody for joining the webinar this afternoon and for your interest in the program. And Ray, I think I'll stop there and look forward to Sunny's remarks.
Thanks so much, Jeremy. Appreciate you being with us today and throughout the webinar today. The purpose, and Jeremy touched upon this, is the National Conservation Foundation and NACD are sponsoring this webinar to update our state association executive directors, officers, NACD board members, state conservation agencies, and partners about NGLI and the launch, including that opportunity for next generation leaders, questions and answers about the program, the applicant interview and selection process, milestones, and timeline for the inaugural program. Our applications for the program being accepted through September 20th. It's my pleasure and honor to introduce Sunny Hike Snapton, who will give us a briefing on NGLI.
Great. Thanks very much, Ray and Jeremy. I'm really grateful to have everybody on the line today. I am in an airport, so I apologize for any sound. First things first, I'm going to have you all write down my cell phone number just in case you have questions that pop up after we're done with the Q&A, and just give me a ring directly. That number is 406-570-4193. So I'm happy to help facilitate any applications or any questions that folks have. So Jeremy got into the introduction of NCF and the mission of that organization. You know them best for Envirothon. But this is the next endeavor, and it plays in nicely with thinking about who's going to be managing the conservation objectives and programs of the future. So early on, the NCF board selected an advisory committee in order to kind of put this program together. It was a stellar collection of individuals who did a lot of research and a lot of back and forth in what we've got for our final product. Obviously, our goals are that focus topics for district leaders. We wanted this to be a nationwide participation, so thus the applicants from the 7 different regions. We wanted these persons to be in training and the instruction to be professional as well as affordable tuition to participate. And most of all is the goal for this program to not just be this year, but for a number of years to come into the future. We'd like to see it succeed and expand, and we're definitely seeing the demand for it. So you probably have heard a lot of these major curriculum topics as they pertain to conservation district work, personal leadership style and conservation ethic definitions, those communication components that are so important, especially when you're dealing with conflict and diverse political climates. The values of the civic and organizational leadership, both within a person's own life as well as the organization. And we wanted the tools to be practical so that these things can be taken home, implemented at the local and state level, and kind of rise the tide to raise all boats. We wanted the curriculum to address leading through change, assessing opportunities, and just provide that networking opportunity for folks across the nation. And finally, to be able to give people an opportunity to complete that capstone effort and really kind of bring to fruition everything that they've learned. Next slide.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have a delay in the slide. All right, audience, who do we want in these cohorts? We are looking at specifically conservation district officials and those who have potential for statewide leadership in the future. They do need to be current in their term during the program years, so starting between February 2020 and February 2021, they should be current in their position. We want to make sure that the folks who are involved are committed at the longer term level. And we are looking for this first year to start off with a real high quality and a low quantity. So those 7 participants, we want to be able to collect from around the nation and represent all of our regions. You will find a big amount of information on that website that you'll see there. The main content of the online application includes general information as well as 6 questions. There's about 250-word limit on those questions, so people can be concise and straight to the point. We did open up in that Santa Fe meeting. We will be closing at 11:59 Eastern Time on September 20th, so we are now 1 week off. The application does require those letters of support from the applicant's conservation district as well as the state and territory associations. We understand that there might be scenarios where there's an optional letter that we would consider, so please just contact us for questions on that. We are asking folks to agree to the terms because we know that the expectations, if met by everyone, will benefit the entirety of the program as well as the participants. And we do have a $50 application fee for folks to put their name in the hat. We are closing that window next Friday. We have a selection committee that will be reviewing all the content. Those that rank the highest will be requested to participate in an online or phone interview mid-October. We would like to be able to offer the top 7 attendance on November 1st, and we are asking folks to respond back positively by December 2nd. The tuition payment is due December 15th, either due or arranged. We do have a payment option plan that's available with the idea that by January 2nd, they've got a ticket to Las Vegas to participate in the first session. So the tuition, you can see there right off the bat, we've put a lot into this, and the value of the program beyond just the potential and the skills and tool sets that it will provide to folks is rather substantial. $10,000 per person is what we have tallied up as what the value is to each individual. Do contact us for that scholarship opportunity. Once an application has been submitted, you'll see a window that pops up and you'll have a chance to link to the scholarship application there. The payment plan, you can either pay everything, that $1,200 on that December 15th date, or you have an option to divide it between a $600 payment on the 15th of December and a second $600 on March 1st. What is included? The airline, the ground transport, and the meals are all included, but we will be setting up a reimbursement for those. So that's something that folks will pay on their own and then will submit to us. We do turn checks around pretty quickly. So that's an area where we feel it's best for the participants themselves to know the airline schedules that work best for them, et cetera. The meals that are reimbursed are the ones just happening on the travel days. The meals and the lodging that are happening during the session, that's all covered, as well as the professional training, the transportation at the sessions, any of the instructions, materials, supplies, etc. So this, as you can see, it comes out to be very valuable in terms of its content as well as just the straight up dollar figure. Those costs that are borne by the participants, just getting to your airport and back, any sort of personal expenses that are outside the normal session activities. We have finalized the sessions. The first one will kick off on that February 8th through 10th date. It's in conjunction with our NACD annual meeting in Vegas. March 2020, we're waiting to hear the legislative calendar to finalize that. But we anticipate the second or third week, July 16 through 21 in Bismarck and affiliated with the NACD summer meeting. November 3rd through 6th in Ardmore, Oklahoma at the Noble Research Institute, as well as the final grand finale in the graduation, February 5 through 11 in 2021 in New Orleans for the final graduation. And we do want to know from the participants, and we want to know from everybody who's involved as we move along. This is the first year. We want it to be as spectacular as possible. So a big part of this will be an ongoing assessment of what people are gaining, the outcomes that they're seeing, the value of the location support, etc. So we feel really great about this final product. We've had a lot of great minds at work, and based on the interest level that we're seeing and the calls that I'm fielding, I know that this is something that a lot of district officials see great value in their own work.
So Sunny, and there's questions we want to come in from our participants. Go ahead and type your number one question from the presentation, opening comments, and presentation on NGLI into your questions dashboard. To get us started, Sunny, one question I'm sure that will come up by participants is, we mentioned the $10,000 value. What is the out-of-pocket cost that we're expecting from the first cohort?
For them individually, that is that tuition cost of $1,200. So right at just slightly over, I guess it would be 12% of the total cost of the program.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And that $10,000 value, then that individual would be expected to come up with $1,200 then toward that.
That's
very
modest. That's correct.
Amount of money. Mm-hmm. And the nomination
the
$50 is. Mm-hmm.
That's correct. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that is a payment that can be done online. Again, when you go to that website that has the link in the webinar, you will see that full page of information. It has the terms, it has the online application, it has the link to be able to go straight to the payment. Everything is in a one-stop shop on that web page.
Excellent. That seems so handy for folks that have interest, and for those of us that are recruiting that next generation leader, right? That we want to get out there and recruit that individual that's going to be around for several years, and at that local, state, and federal level, national level. So how many nominations should each state association submit?
That's a great question. I think at this point, I would hope with a week to go, the state association should have a pretty good finger on the pulse of how many are coming in. I think if in the eyes of the association, you see them as eligible candidates, I would recommend advancing that and putting their name in the hat. I think, what is a little unknown, because it is the first year, we don't have an idea of how many applicants we're going to have. So it's not as though we can say, well, on an average, we get three from a region or 3 from a state or something. We're kind of starting from ground zero. And honestly, I think those that are interested in it, we want to know now, because if they're interested in it this year, I hope that if this is something that they aren't selected for, I would hope that they would still be interested in the future.
So those that submitted and have interest, then stay in touch with you, Sunny, regarding if they're not selected in that first cohort, just stay connected with us. Huh? I think ultimately what we are best to do is kind of build that audience of district officials who see the value in this type of training, just so that we can make sure that when offerings are available, that they know about it. And as we come to see the next session, the next year coming up, then we know there's a pool of potential names that are already in line, in air quotes, and interested in the program. So what would you encourage all of us then in the recruitment process? Just keep on recruiting, find those next generation leaders that we want to have apply, keep them in contact with you, Sunny, so that they know, even if they don't apply, keep encouraging them to apply. But we hope that we've got a nice set of applicants for this first cohort, even though the numbers are relatively low we still want to know of the interest out there across the states, don't we? And our island territory.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, as we see this program unfold for this first year, what we want to be able to really understand is that value, so that as we ask for additional outside support, there's a lot of people that are saying, these conservation district leaders are the ones who should be the best equipped to help us, move forward in some of these partnerships and that sort of thing. So these are potential outside supporters that we would like to be able to go back to say, hey, we did 7 great individuals this past year. Wouldn't it be great with your help we could do 14?
Excellent. So we've got one individual that just said that Georgia will have at least 2. So, guys sakes, 2 is not, not beyond the possibility. So good news from Georgia. And Sunny, I think you got some news from today, late breaking news, or yesterday.
That's correct. Yeah, the application form works, and we got our first application. I'm not going to spill any beans. But we know that people are stepping up, and we know that the platform works, and so good news all around.
Yeah. Sunny, do you anticipate, you showed us 5 events that are going on, and certainly those are time in travel, right, and there at the session. Will there be some other events that go on anticipated from the advisory committee's recommendations? Webinars or things like that outside of the 5 events?
Ideally, I think we have room for that. Obviously, as we're planning this, we want to make sure that we are accounting for the major line items in the budget. I think as we finalize, we've got a tremendous amount of the initial curriculum finalized. We are still making sure that we're headed in the right direction with some of those later sessions. And I think, a lot of this, the reason why we're using the word cohort is because we want them to contribute and them to be the ones who are providing information in a real similar fashion as they are receiving the information. So, if we need to use a platform like this where folks can get together online and learn something without having to leave their own home, that's something that we can put forward quite easily. That's a lot easier than trying to coordinate an off-site location. We want to build this to what that cohort gains the most from. And if that's a webinar, we can put that in there.
Good point. Probably anticipated in that. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Yeah, this is Jeremy. I would add to that the selection of the sites is no accident. We deliberately wanted to have the cohorts meet and be present at the annual meeting, at the summer meeting, the legislative fly-in. There will be classroom experiences there where specific topics will be covered, but there also will be the immersion experience of being able to attend the national level meetings, to hear from the speakers that are part of the agenda, to see the board of directors meeting in person and understanding the issues and topics that are being taken up, to be able to network in the hallways and have the immersion experience with other national leaders and to gain from that as well. So there certainly will be the classroom component, the curriculum. There will be the additional learning opportunities that we may identify along the way, as Sunny mentioned. And then there's also the immersion in the broader experience that these folks will participate in.
Thanks, Jeremy. Sunny, we also know that you're running to catch a plane at some point. So if you come up missing, just all of a sudden we'll know what happened. Go ahead and type those questions in. We've had a good discussion, some good questions. I'm going to launch a poll in just a bit on how many NGLI applications are being developed in your state. Sunny, I think you were going to break in there for something else.
Well, I'm on the way, but I want to repeat my phone number.
406-570-4193. Do call with any questions. Thanks for the participation, y'all.
Thanks, Sunny, and thanks for doing this under duress, multitasking and running for your airplane all at the same time. My goodness, a lot to ask from you. Thank you.
It's my pleasure because this is worth it.
Yeah, we just launched a poll for you, distributing the poll, and we want to know how many in your state applications that you're going to anticipate for this first inaugural year. Again, the recruitment should occur year-round, looking at those candidates, those people that you know that you want in leadership positions in your state, not only the local district, but in your state, and then also perhaps at a national level too. So we're excited about this. We're going to learn a ton. Our learning curve is steep, and but we're going to learn quite a bit. So go ahead and type in if you do have 1, 2, 3, or more than 3. Go ahead and answer that poll that we just sent out to you. So we do know of 5 states, again, without releasing all the names of the states, we did know of 5 states that have indicated applications developed, and another 6 or so states that are saying it looks like we're headed that way too. So in combination, that could be 11 of actual or potential. Go ahead and type in poll in progress then, if you've got 1, 2, 3, or more than 3. And again, the recruitment occurs year-round for NGLI. I'm going to leave that open just another minute or so, Jeremy, while that poll is open. Any other comments that you can think of that we want to cover during our webinar today?
Yeah, one thing I wanted to also mention, Sunny touched on it, and Sunny, thank you for doing such a great job on a webinar in an airport. I've been in that situation myself, and I know that is not easy to pull off. You did a masterful job, so thank you. One thing that Sunny mentioned earlier was also looking at the future years of the institute, and it is something that we're very excited about the first inaugural class, but we're also thinking about the future of the program, and this really is just the launching off point, because we do see this as something that has so much growth potential. The service that can be provided to the up and coming leaders within each of the states and territories to equip folks for future leadership opportunities, whether that's at the state, the local, the state, or hopefully eventually the national level. There's just so much that can be gained from that to further strengthen our leadership ranks and to thereby strengthen the conservation delivery system across the country. And so starting small with 7 initial participants, but looking ahead to the future where the number of folks that can come through this program on an annual basis, we're really talking about building a very strong group of individuals that will be of service hopefully for years to come. And I think about programs like the Minnesota Leadership Program that have had so many successful participants that have gone through over the years. I was just at a meeting 3 weeks ago out in California at the American Chemical Society, and a individual came up to me from Minnesota and was talking about her involvement in one of the first classes of the Minnesota Leadership Program. And I think that's a goal that we strive for, is to have such a strong level of participation that 10 years down the road we'll be talking about so many different alumni from this program and being able to watch where they go and the contributions that they make to locally led conservation.
Well, very good. And Jeremy, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll then. And we had 80% of the participants said 1 applicant coming in. 20% of our folks that took the poll then said 2. And then we had some in the questions box. We had some offerings too. One state even saying that they're expecting 3. So we're very excited about that. Again, a fair turnout and appreciation for all of your efforts in recruitment of our next generation leaders. Barbara also noted that the President Association invites the trainees and Ray and Sunny and Laura as our guests at the social Sunday evening. So we're going to accept that and make sure that they have that opportunity. As Jeremy was pointing out, we want to immerse these folks into meeting and seeing the national leadership at work, and in the hopes that flips that switch for them, like many of our national presidents have had, and they want to do that also. So we appreciate all of that. And with that, then, any other questions that come in, please go ahead and write email to Sunny or Ray or Laura. And our phone numbers are also located and handy. Sunny gave you hers, so we'll make sure we have that. So with that, then, I'm going to turn it back to Jeremy for some closing remarks, and we'll do something a little unheard of, but we may just even end early. So Jeremy, some closing remarks, please.
Sure. Thank you, Ray. Yeah, if there's no other questions that folks have, I wanted to thank everybody for participating in the webinar today. And hopefully, if you had any questions lingering about the NGLI, you came away today with answers to those questions. And we do appreciate the work that is occurring at the state, territory, and local level to identify participants in the program. We're very excited to get the applications in, and thanks to those that have already submitted applications. But we're looking forward to getting the process underway of determining the first class of participants and getting those folks identified and getting them out to Las Vegas in 2020. So yeah, thanks everybody. I really appreciate it. Thank you to Sunny, to Laura, and to Ray for all the work that you all have done to put together the webinar today, but also for the work that you all have done over the last several months to get us to this point in the program. Again, it's just such exciting work. It's a very exciting time to be part of conservation, and really looking forward to the next steps in the Next Generation Leadership Institute.
Thank you, Jeremy, and thanks all who participated in our webinar today. With that, then, we'll close the webinar with the promise of two things. One, every day is a good day to recruit our next generation leaders. And the second is, if you have any questions, do get a hold of Sunny and make sure that those questions are known. Thanks so much, folks. We'll end the webinar now.